Welcome, guys. We got 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Speaker view. Why can I not pin this one? Pin this one. That's what I want to do. All right. Some people are coming in. Good. What's up, everybody? Storm people. I like it. We got 1 more minute and we are going to start. So a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, please. Very good. And a 1 in the chat. No, we can put a 2 in the chat if you worked out today. See who did that. No 2s. No 2s in the chat. Man, I'm putting a 2 in the chat. 2 for me. You've got to do something, guys. You've got to do something. Do something to get the blood flowing to the brain. 10 push-ups, 100 squats, run around the block. I don't know, man. Keep it moving. All right, guys, we're going to start. Today is about earning more playing time. Okay, so whatever your situation as a basketball player, we often want to have more time. We often want to spend more time on the court. You know, even if you're playing 38 minutes, you don't even want to come out then. So from the person that never gets onto the court to all the way through to the guy that plays the most minutes, unless somebody's playing 40 minutes a game, which is a very unusual situation, everybody wants to play more. So I think that what we're going to talk about is applicable to everybody today and in different ways. So there might be a few things that we talk about which you already know or you're already doing, and that's great. If you are already doing some of the things that I'm talking about, then make sure that you keep doing them. Okay, and what I'm going to be sharing with you is my idea on what coaches, at least for me, yeah, what I value in the players that I have and what I pay attention to the most. And a lot of these things, they can affect how I think about who to put in the game. Now, obviously, when you get to a high level, when you're playing National League or you're, professional, something like that, the wins and the losses are the most important thing. We are trying to win the game. So I want to put people in the game that are going to help us to do that. But there are many different ways to help a team win. It isn't just about scoring. It isn't just about stopping the best guy on the other team. There are so many factors, and it may not be as clear to you as it is maybe to the coaches. So the reason why I want to put this together is to help you guys understand a little bit about what the coach is seeing and what they're thinking about. And so maybe one of the places to start is the game decisions. Reasons to sub you into the game or not, and reasons to keep you in the game or not, are not always, and many times are often not chosen or done because of things that happen on the game day, but actually throughout the course of the season, your attitude, the way you are in practice, the way you are outside of practice, your energy on game days, all of these things can contribute to you getting more or less game time. Okay, so you can ask questions at the end, guys. I mean, if you have any questions that come in, to your mind as we're talking, either write them down or send them in the chat. I'll go through the chat at the end to make sure that if there are any questions, I will deal with all of them. I do suggest that you take notes because I am planning to go reasonably quickly here and talk about a lot of different things. And as you may have seen when I sent a post yesterday, I think on Instagram, saying that I'm not trying to help anybody get playing time that they don't deserve, right? So I'm not trying to trick anybody. You know, there are no sort of special tricks in here that are going to help you get into the game because, you know, you are manipulating somebody. This is stuff which genuinely affects people in positive ways, be that your coach, your teammates, primarily those two groups. But there are also other things that you can do which affect, you know, people, the officials and the parents and people around the game. So if you do these things and you take them on, then you're going to have a positive influence on other people, and at some point you will be rewarded for that. Okay. And ultimately what that does is, so the kind of people that display these attitudes and do these things, they play more because the team does better when you're on the court. And that maybe we'll get to the game part of this towards the end, but that is like the most important thing to maybe understand here, is that there's so many things that go on in the game, and there are so many different ways to influence what is happening, that even you might be having a bad game in terms of scoring or just things not really going your way offensively or something like that, you can still really positively affect the game. And we might, as a team, we might really need you to stay in the game because of this influence that you have on other people. Okay, so I'm going to start with some general points, which you know can be applied at any point in the season. It doesn't matter if some of you may be still in a season or halfway through one. You might have a coach that has known you for a long time, and you know them very well. So some of the things I suggest, you might not ever have done them before, and to bring those in now might be something a little bit strange. But I suggest that whatever situation you're in, if you like some of the things that I say, or if you think that they are worth trying, that you just try it. Like, you don't have to worry whether that you're halfway through the year or it's like the last practice or the last game. Every little bit helps. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. All right, the number one thing, and it sounds very simple and easy, is just to show up. Is to show up every day, right? And that makes you, and what I mean by that is, first of all, your physical presence needs to be at practice. You need to come to practice. You need to come to all the things that the team is putting on, and being early and being prepared is a good thing. Like, coaches take note of that stuff. If you're always coming in like right on the time of practice, or you're a little bit late sometimes, and you're not really super organized, and you're not really ready for when the coach starts, however they start practice, that's a mental note in the coach's head. You know, is this person really prepared and ready and really wanting to do this? Okay, so first of all, straight away, I'm talking about things that are not happening on the game day that might influence you playing more or less minutes. Okay, so showing up means physical presence, being early, showing a good attitude, just in all ways being there. Yeah, because if you're there and you have this beaming attitude and you love to play, you love to learn, you love to be a part of practice, and you want to be a part of all of that stuff, there is an energy to that which will radiate, it will go out, and then the coach will feel that, and if that's a positive one, then we want positive people in the game. Okay, the second thing I would say is, whenever you get into the practice, whenever you get into the game, the court on a game day, whatever activity you're having with the team, that you smile when you come into the gym, that you be a positive person, and that you greet the coach, and you know, also I would say your teammates. Now, and I'm not suggesting that you do that in any kind of fake way. That has to be a genuine thing. You know, you are coming in and you are genuinely pleased and excited to be working with the people that you are working with. All right. If you are not genuinely pleased or excited to be there, then you might need to have a look at that. Because if this is a bit of a drag and you're not enjoying it and you're not getting things out of it, you need to maybe take a step back and go, right, well, why am I not enjoying this? Is it something to do with me, or is there something I don't enjoy about the practice? Do I need to talk to the coach or something like that? But if you are, then show that. Yeah. And again, you know, for me personally, like, I like it when players come to me and say hello and shake my hand, and we have a little bit of eye contact, and we kind of know, right, we're getting ready to work. Yeah. So those are the first two things. The next one is ask questions. Sometimes for coaches, it can be a little bit uncomfortable if players are asking a lot of questions, because, you know, it's not always possible to come up with the answers as coaches. Sometimes we might deflect the question and say, well, what do you think? You know, what do you think we should do? Or what do you think you should do? Or what's your opinion on that? But try never to be discouraged from asking questions, even if your coach is somebody who doesn't like it. And that is, if I'm not your coach, which I'm not probably for a lot of you, I mean, if your coach doesn't like being asked questions, I think there is a little bit of an issue there, and you might want to try to address that with that person. Because for me, asking questions is about being curious. It's about wanting to know a bit more, wanting to do well, and wanting to get better. So, you know, ask questions all the time. And then lastly, as a general point, if you can, study your opponents. Okay, so as you get to the season, who are you playing against? Do you know anything about them? And what can you find out? Okay, can you get film on the team that you're playing? If the coach is sharing a scouting report, make sure that you study it. You know, you could ask, are there any stats on the team? You know, you could try and go to one of the games that they have if they are geographically not too far away from you. You know, if you study opponents and you start to learn more about the teams that you're playing, your coach is likely to ask questions or talk a little bit about the teams that you're going to go up against during the season. If you have something to give there, something to offer, then that says to the coach, this person is really switched on and can help us. Yeah. Okay. You get to the practice. So those were the general points, and now I'm going to talk about in the training session. There's nothing wrong with standing out and doing things that other people are not willing to do. Okay, and what I mean by that is, if you are super helpful and you do things that the coach asks of you, or you go and get extra equipment, or you go and get basketballs for them, or you go and get the scoreboard out, or you ask, coach, does he need a drink or something like that, or you help some parents out at the sidelines to get chairs and things like that. If you're really helpful, your teammates might ridicule you a little bit. You might get some, depending on how old you are, they might make you feel bad for it because it's kind of funny. But again, these things affect the coach, and they show a willingness to do things which are going to help us to be successful. All right. The next thing I got is take charges. Take a charge if you can in the practice. If you can take charges in practice, you can take them in a game. Taking charges, it changes games, and not many people are willing to do it. And with these first 2 points, I just want to bring up a little story. So I'm not going to tell you that I played to any kind of super high level, but I played professionally for a few years. But before that, and I also went to 3 different countries to play. So before I did any professional basketball, I was getting ready to go to university in Sheffield, at Sheffield Hallam, and I was trying to be a part of the basketball team. Now, it wasn't super clear how I was going to do that. We are now talking how long are we talking about? 17 years ago, maybe even longer, 18 years ago, 19 years ago. It wasn't like today where, you can find out pretty much anything from social media. So I had to call a couple of different people, try to find out who the coach was of the university team, try to find out when the trials were. so that I could be there. And it actually ended up that the trials for the basketball team were before the freshers were due to arrive on university campus. So had I not, done some research, I might have missed that tryout. Okay. And then when I got to the trial, there were some first years there, and then some older guys. But I just took it on myself to embody what I just said. Do things which nobody else is willing to do, right? And I managed to take a couple of charges in the practice. I just played super hard. I was diving on the floor for the ball. I hit a couple of shots, and I was the only first year that year to get on that team, right? Because that team was a bit older and it was a good team. So, and I think the reason for that was because I made myself known to the coaches before the trial started. And then during the trial, I was like, the energy I gave was above everybody. And that alone, even if I wasn't one of the better players, that alone was enough to convince the coach that this is a person that should be on the team. Okay. So that's a little story, which I hope that you maybe take something from. Like, you guys are going to be in trials at some point in the summertime or whenever the next one is for your team. If you can do stuff like that, it has a big impact on the coach. And, in trials, it's really difficult to separate yourself, because if somebody hits a couple of shots in the trial and you don't know who they are, you can assume that they are a good player. So making yourself stand out is a big deal. Okay. Be first in line for new drills or activities. Be the first person to answer a question, right? That speaks to confidence. It speaks to not being afraid of making mistakes, of getting it wrong. Over the years, it's always the way that you're going to put a new drill in, or you're going to run a new play, or you're going to do something new, and nobody wants to step up and do it. So the people that do step up and do it, I immediately think, okay, this is person that maybe is willing to do stuff that they're a little bit afraid of. Okay. Answer questions. Yeah, I said that. Answer questions from the coach. Ask your own questions. Guard the best player on the opposing team in scrimmages. Okay, so don't shy away from taking on challenges. During practices, this is where you're going to have your opportunity to earn minutes, and you might not be able to do it. You might not be able to guard the best player, or you might start doing it and someone tells you to switch off because you start getting beat or something like that. But if you've heard me talk in the last few weeks, or if you've been coached by me, that one of my messages is you've got to get yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to put yourself in places where you might fail, because then you're going to find out how good you are, or how good you could be, and where your limitations are. And if you know that stuff, then you can start to work towards getting better. And again, if you're taking on challenges and you're kind of refusing to back down, I want that person in the game, because during the season things get difficult, and we need people that are gonna work and not be afraid. Okay. All right. What else we got? Okay. Some little things. Yeah. Choose a partner that is better than you in the drills. Don't just choose your buddy. Choose somebody that's going to challenge you. All right. Make sure that you have a light jersey and a dark jersey when you come to practice every single time. Every single time you go to any basketball thing where you're going to play, bring a light shirt and a dark shirt. Okay. Because you're going to play 5-on-5, or you're going to play 3-on-3. And we always need to split the teams dark and light, or some 2 different colors. And it's just so helpful. If I ask, do you guys all have white shirts? Do you guys all have dark shirts? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Yeah. And not many people do that. So again, it shows me that you're switched on, that you are thinking about the game, and that you are somebody who is using their brain. Okay. What else we got? Be the best player on the sideline when not in the game. This was another story this year for my under-18s group. Is probably the best player that we had on our team. I mean, it was close, but he was at least in the top 3. Was the number 1 player in practice when not in the game. He was coaching other teammates. He was running up and down the sideline. he was cheering, he was calling out plays, he was switching defenses. He was like a coach, like, and he did that also in games when he was injured or when he was not playing. So, and it, you know, it's just it's so refreshing for a coach to have somebody like that. And it shows so much commitment to the team and a selflessness that is so necessary. That, you know, what am I supposed to do as a coach? This guy's going crazy on the sidelines supporting his teammates. That kind of energy, I need that on the court. Get in the game. Okay, so that's how it looks from it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you think it's the other way around. Maybe you think if you're cheering on the bench and you're making all this noise, that I need you on the bench, you know, to be noisy. And that is true to a certain extent. But as a coach, I look at that and I say, right, that energy, I need that on the court. Okay, so if somebody is sitting there and they're not saying anything and they're just really quiet and they don't look super engaged in the game, I'm worrying about that person. When I put them in the game, are they going to be awake and kind of understanding what we're doing and able to engage straight away? Okay. Okay, last thing for practice, I think, is help tidy the gym at the end of the day. All right, whatever the day is, end of the practice, help tidy the gym. If you're leaving, make sure that you're tidying up, make sure you're putting stuff away. High five for the coach, high five for your teammates. Just an attitude thing, which again shows leadership. It shows good communication. It shows dedication. It shows commitment to the team. And you know, it's an attitude that you will take with you wherever you go and whatever you do. If you leave the place that you worked in a better condition than when you found it, that stuff rubs off on other people, and it is a positive thing. And again, you know, that maybe says to me that when you go in the game, you're going to leave the game in a better position than when you came to it. All right, and that's important. Okay. Now, before we move on, I think it's important to make a point, right? None of these things in isolation, or even if you try to do all of them, are going to guarantee that you will get more playing time like next week. And you know, I can't lie to you. You're going to have to be good. You know, you're going to have to be able to handle the ball. You're going to have to be able to pass and shoot and dribble and play defense and get rebounds and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if you're the total worst player on the team, but you're the best guy at doing all this stuff, I'm going to try to get you in the game, but I'm not going to be able to get you in the game as much as you would like. So understand that, again, these aren't tricks. But what I'm trying to say is that this kind of stuff, if you really take it on, like if you're the person, right, writing notes right now and you're taking all this stuff down and you're going to start trying to implement these one by one into what you're doing, you're going to start changing your attitude to the game. And what that does to you is it helps you to get a process for improving. So this is going to help you improve your communication. It's going to help you improve your self-discipline. It's going to help you improve your commitment to your teammates. It's going to improve your toughness. And all of those things translate to being a better basketball player. Okay. So with all of this, you need to exercise a little bit of patience as well, especially if you are lower down the roster. Okay. If you exercise a little bit of patience, but you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, then at some point you will start to reap the rewards. And that I can promise you. Now, comes to the game. Now we're talking about game day. Okay, so I already said, you know, performance is important. Yeah, you're going to have to perform to some extent in the skills of the game. All right, but that doesn't mean the same thing for every player. Okay, so a nice example I have, hopefully everybody here knows who is Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is a Hall of Famer. He has 5 NBA rings, so 5 NBA championships, and averaged 7 points a game for his career. And when he played for the Bulls, for the 3 years that he played for the Bulls, he averaged 4.5 points and won 3 titles. Okay, so performance for you does not mean the same as everybody else on the team. It doesn't just mean coming in and scoring. Okay, you have to understand that. basketball is a complex game. There is a lot going on, and we need people to contribute in different ways. So figuring out how you might be able to contribute to our team's success, whether that be rebounding, playing defense, on the ball, off the ball, talking on defense, getting back in transition, sprinting the floor in offense, handling pressure, making good passes, setting good screens, cutting hard to the basket, getting rebounds, you know, just making the shots that you do get, or at least the easy ones. If you get a breakaway layup and you put it in the basket, you know, the simple stuff is the foundation for performance. So you don't have to come in the game and impress me or impress your coach with your step back and your amazing handles if it's unnecessary. Like that stuff actually inversely could get you taken out again, because it speaks to selfishness and somebody who's just trying to get stuff for themselves. So if you want more playing time, it's going to help you to understand what is your unique contribution that you can make to your team, what performance really means for you, and then really, like, you know, doing the simple things really, really well. Like those are the really important things. You know, I'm not interested really, especially if you are a junior and you are playing national league, or you're playing at the highest level in your country. At the junior level, it's always the basics, the foundational stuff that is going to be the reason that you win the game. It is not going to be, you know, flashy one-on-one skills. I mean, that stuff helps in moments of the game, but if we're talking about trying to get, you know, from 15 minutes a game to 20 to 25 minutes a game, I promise you the foundational simple stuff is going to be the biggest difference for you. All right. If you do have a pen and paper right now, I would like you to write down the answer to this question. Okay. How do you best help your team? Okay, so that exercise, I think, is pretty good. You are highlighting your unique abilities. And if you are detailed, okay, there are at least three ways that you can help your team. And nobody's 3 ways are going to be exactly the same. Okay, so your unique talent, your unique ability, your unique skill set is going to be how you can help your team to win. And if you do those things and you do them really well, and then you add to them a lot of the other things that we've been talking about, then you're going to start to be able to contribute more and get more playing time. Okay. Now on game day, here's what I would say are things which you may not be thinking about, which contribute to more playing time. All right. The time that you arrive to the game, the energy that you have when you arrive, what you do when you get there, how you greet people, how you prepare, you know, I'm watching all of that. I'm observing it all as a coach. It might look like I'm doing some stuff, might look like I'm not paying attention, but I'm trying to gauge the energy of the group and the energy of the individuals. And if you're giving off a weird vibe, or you show up 10 minutes to go to the game, you know, there are always circumstances that are outside of your control. So I'm not talking about the one time that you get stuck in some traffic that you can't just get out. But even then I am, because let's say you get stuck in traffic and you get to the game late. The way that you walk in the doors and what you do next says to me the kind of things that you are thinking about. So if you kind of stroll in and, you know, you don't seem too fussed about it, then I'll be like, okay, well, you know, you're late and you don't seem too bothered. So it's going to be difficult for me to really want to put you in the game now. It's going to be easier if I'm the coach. I've got to think about how can I get all these 12 players in the game and who's going to contribute what. It's easy when guys come in late, because I can just say, hey, you're late, man. You know, you're just going to have to sit down for a little while. But if you run in, you know, you are late and you run in and you run straight to the coach. You say, coach, I'm so sorry, man. And even better, if you would be sending messages as you are in the traffic, saying that you're in the traffic so that we can get an idea of where you are, that says something about your attitude and your commitment to the team. Okay. Do you know the game plan and the scout? All right. So have you been studying? If the coach has given out a scouting report, however that may be, have you read it? Have you watched the videos? Have you asked your own questions? And are you ready to contribute what you know in the huddles before the game, during the game, at halftime, and then third and fourth quarter? Yeah. These things, again, you will never know when your number is called. If you're on the bench, you don't know when you're coming in the game. All right. And you don't know what the trigger might be for you to get in the game. So if there's a timeout and the coach asks a question like, you know, something is happening in the game, and all of a sudden there's a timeout because the coach is unhappy about how we're defending the pick and roll, the ball screen. And the coach is going, guys, what is our ball screen coverage here? And maybe he's calling a timeout because he realizes that the 5 guys on the court, they don't know. And you're on the bench and you're saying, coach, it's ice, or it's, you know, jam and under, or it's red and double team, or whatever it is. If you know the answer, that might get you in the game. Okay, so understanding the game plan, being a student of the game can definitely help you not only to be a better player, but maybe to earn you some more playing time. All right. So I already touched on it a little bit, but on the bench, are you communicating? Are you engaged? Are you focused on what's going on? Are you ready to come in the game? Do you run to the scorer's table when your number is called? That's an important thing. Even if it's a free throw and you know that it's not important. I mean, sometimes it's really important. Sometimes if we need to change somebody really quickly, you have to run to the scorer's table so that they can blow the horn in time for you to get in before the referee hands the ball to the next person in the game. Sometimes it's not necessary, but even you know that, you are still sprinting to the scorer's table. And that it goes back to one of those examples where everybody else might look at you like you're a crazy person. Like, why is he running to the scorer's table? It's like, you know, there's 3 free throws or something. But for me as a coach, I love that, because that speaks a love for the game, an appreciation for the moment, and a desire to go in and impact, you know, what we're doing. So do that stuff, because it tells me that you want to be in the game. And it goes, the same goes for getting off the court. You know, have a respect for your teammates, have a respect for the game, sprint off the court, high five the guy that's coming in for you, tell him who he's guarding or whatever you need to tell him, and then get your water, talk to anybody you need to talk to, and then get back engaged in the game. Like that stuff, if I'm taking you out of the game and you sort of like walk off and your head is down and you're annoyed because you missed some shots, or you were mad at me because I took you out, or whatever, that body language is really important. And you've probably seen, there's a video that is on social media everywhere of Gino Auriemma, women's coach at UConn, who says body language is everything. Like, it's the most important thing. And so if we're talking about earning more playing time, or if we're talking about, you know, anything where there is, you know, performance is important, or, you know, doing well is important, like your body language says a lot about how you're approaching things. And, you know, one thing to remember about playing basketball is that it's not just about you. Okay. So when you get subbed out, that might not be about you. That might be about, there's somebody on the bench here who's been sitting and waiting for their turn, and they haven't had it yet, and now it's their turn. So be appreciative that your buddy gets to come in the game. And that ties back again to some of the things that we said in the beginning in the practice. Like, are you, you know, a supporter of your teammates? Are you helping your teammates out? Do you love and appreciate having your teammates there that can share this experience with you? Because you're going to have to do it together. Yeah, you're going to have to do it together. You're all going to go forwards towards the finals, or at some point you're all going to stop playing because the game is over and you lost. Yeah, you can't go by yourself, right? So really important stuff there on the bench at all times, and it's hard, man. I'm not saying that this stuff isn't hard. It is difficult, but the guys that do this the best, they have the most fun playing the game. they get the most out of it. And it's impossible to keep people on the bench that have so much energy. Right? It's just impossible. So if you want to get in the game, there is some things you can do. All right. A couple of other things here about coming into the game. Make sure you know your assignment. Okay, so that might be somebody that you're guarding. It also could be an offensive position, depending on how your offense goes and how that works. What defense the team is in. So you might be given special instructions to change the defense or get a message to somebody. Like, you need to know that stuff, because this is a massive factor in determining playing time. I mean, especially for, unfortunately, especially for people that don't play that much. If somebody's playing a lot and they make a mistake on some of these things, I think it tends to get it tends to get overlooked by coaches a little bit more than if it's somebody who hasn't been playing. And that's maybe a little bit unfair, but it's the reality. If you've been sitting on the bench and I ask you to come in the game and I tell you, can you make sure that the message goes out that we're changing from zone to man, and then the next play you're in the game, you're playing zone, I might be coming back for you. You know, I might be subbing you out. So because you had a message, you had an instruction, and you're not. To me, it looks like you're not concentrating, and that might not be. You know, it might have been confused. It might have been my fault. We might have had something there. But just understand that if you go in the game with an instruction, you better make sure you know what that instruction is, because that is going to affect your playing time. All right. And then lastly, I'm actually going to finish here with a couple of things, is focus wholly and totally on the things that you can control. Okay. So why don't we do this to finish off? In the chat, please write down something that you can control when you're playing in the game. Effort. Yep. That's my first one too. How hard you try. You control that. Nobody else controls that. Any more? Communication levels. Okay. So talking, you know, you control how much you talk from the bench to the floor. Your mindset. Yeah. Your attitude, I suppose, your mindset, the kind of energy that you give off, the decisions that you make. Okay. So what you do on the court, the pace that you play at. Okay. So how fast you run on offense, how fast you run back on defense, the decision that you make, whether to box out your man or, you know, or not make a decision, you know. Yeah. So a couple of others I've got okay, positivity, you know, how positive you are, you control that. Very good. Energy and mindset. Yeah, we kind of covered those ones. So energy, your attitude, the things that you do, your behavior, the way that you act, however you want to put that, that's on you. All right. So no matter what happens to you in the game, whether you feel like you're being unfairly treated, or you're missing shots, or the team is losing by a lot, or just things generally aren't going your way, you control how you deal with that. And if you do experience problems, then I would advise all of you to go and seek out the people or the person that problem is about. So if there are issues that you're having with a coach, or you just don't understand, you know, why you're not playing as much as you think that you might, or anything like that, you know, I would advise you to go talk to the coach. All right. Because sometimes the coach thinks that everything is okay and you understand, and sometimes you don't. So when we're talking about controlling your energy and your mindset, you do that by addressing problems as they come. Yeah. And that's another way to make sure that you control the controllables, is if you don't know why you're playing as much as you want or think you should, then control the controllables and go ask the question. All right. And then, you know, you have to be prepared for the answer. You know, it might not be one that you like, but it would be something that would help you along your way. Okay. Finally, the last point I have is, after all of this, whether it's a training session or a game or an individual workout, review what you did, write down positives and things to work on. That should give you an action plan. So if there are some things that you think that you need to work on for next time, or some specific things that you want to achieve in the next game or the next week or the next month, then write those things down and make your adjustments. And if you do that, right, if you make a plan, you go out and you give your all, then you review what you did and you make a new plan, adjusted, and then you go and you execute and you do your thing, and it goes how it goes, and then you review and you make a new plan, and then you go. This is a process. And if you keep going on the process and you seek help when you need it, you're going to get better. And the key to success, right? We're talking about earning more playing time today. And you're going to have this team this year, then you're going to have another team next year, you're going to have another team next year. You're always going to be fighting for playing time. So if you have a process like this and you apply it every day, every time you're playing basketball, and you keep going with it over and over and over and over and over again, that is going to get you to higher and higher levels. And it might take you a while. Progress is sometimes very slow, but if you stick to the process and you keep going, I promise you that you will have success and you will get more playing time. I can't promise you when. And the key and the thing that a lot of people make a mistake about is they start doing this stuff and then they don't see it working, and so they stop. But I can't tell you what timeline you're on. I can't tell you when you're going to hit your highest achievements. Only you can decide what those highest achievements are, because if you achieve something which is really, really good in the eyes of everybody else, I mean, you might be headed for something even better in your own eyes, right? So don't let other people decide what is good for you, and trust yourself. But in trusting yourself, you must do the work. Yeah. So hopefully that, guys, has been helpful for you and can give you some things to think about with regard to your practice, the way you are around your team. This might even help you with studying in some way and playing in a game. All right. So I will finish with this and open for questions. You can do it in the chat. You can send it to me directly, or you can put it in the open chat right now. And then I got 2 more things to tell you before we finish. Okay, so I'm not getting any at the moment. So here's the 2 things I'm going to tell you. Next week's session is going to be about balancing. It's about balance. So that means how do you juggle being a high performance basketball player and taking care of everything else in your life. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about some practices, some ideas, and some ways of prioritizing and getting after it that can allow you to make progress in the areas that you want to make progress in, and also keep balls in the air. When you're juggling, you've got to try to keep the balls in the air. You can't just throw one ball up and down and later on go pick the other 2 balls up. Like you got to keep these basketball, you got to keep in the air if you want to be a really good player. Studying, you got to keep in the air if you want to be a really good player. You've also got your friends and your family, and maybe you've got some other commitment that you have which you want to keep going with. And maybe you want to be a high performer in something else. I don't know. Maybe you're trying to be a football player and a basketball player at the same time. Or maybe you're trying to be a pianist or something, or a fireman. I don't know. But if you want to have multiple things going on in your life, and you want to make achievements in those things and have good relationships and things like that, and not have people in your family or your loved ones feel like you're neglecting them, then we've got to find ways of keeping these things going. All right. So that's what next week is going to be about. I promised a shooting workout today. So I got a note of everybody that is here. It's not quite ready yet. It's going to be ready tonight. So I will send that over to you tonight, and you will have that. And I'm gonna wait 30 more seconds for any questions. Otherwise, we are going to sign off. Big thank you from me for all of you that attended, and good luck. You know where I am. I'm on social media, Kairos_performance on Instagram, Rob Newson 84 on TikTok, Kairos-performance.com. Hit me up, send me a message, ask me a question, and if you need anything, I'm here. Okay, guys, that's it. See you.
Thank you, Coach.
Bye.